Today we're going to start a new unit on exponential. It's actually a pretty short one. We're only going to have about 3 videos. But for the first one, we're going to focus on something called exponential form. So I want to first go over some of our learning goals and then talk about some of the vocabulary that you will be using as we go through the lesson. We'll sort of do a vocabulary and then we'll do part of the lesson and then go back. So our learning goals, what I want you to be able to do by the time that you are done, you will be able to write a number in exponential form. And that's one of our vocab words that we're actually going to get to. I want you to be able to simplify a number that is in exponential form. Can you tell that's going to be important? And I want you to be able to solve a problem that is in, I bet you can all guess, exponential form. So when you're done, I want you to be able to write, simplify, and solve problems that are in exponential form. So for us to be able to do that, we need to talk about what some of the vocabulary is. So for our first vocab word, we're going to talk about the word exponent. An exponent shows the number of times that a base number is multiplied by itself. And I'll talk about what that is too. So in this case, our base number, let's say we had a number of 4. This 4 is our base. The exponent is written small in the upper right corner of the base number. So if I was to write an exponent, 4 with a little 3 up here, this right here is the exponent. Okay, it tells you how many times you would multiply the base by itself. And we'll talk more about that, but just for now I want you to know when I refer to exponent, I refer to this little number up here. Alright, so exponential form, we talked about that in all of our learning goals. So what is it? Exponential form is simply when you have a base number and an exponent. That's it. Anytime you see a number that's got a base number and an exponent, you have something that's written in exponential form. Now our last vocab word, simplify. So if we are going to simplify, means to reduce a number into its most basic form. So when a number is in exponential form, it means that you're going to expand that number out. And so if we take our example here, 4 to the 3rd power is how you say that. To simplify it, we set up here an exponent tells you how many times you multiply a number by itself. To simplify it would just be to multiply it by itself 3 times. That's all that means. Okay? So let's take these learning goals one at a time. So for our first learning goal number 1 up here, you will be able to write a number in exponential form. So if I said 2 to the 4th power, so I'm going to write out the word here, 2 to the 4th power, and I wanted you to write that in exponential form. It would be 2, this is my base, the 4th power, that is your exponent, 2 to the 4th power. Okay, so now I want you to just quickly number 1, 2, 3. Alright, I am going to give you those in just a second, but there's 2 more vocab words I almost forgot about. If you say that something is squared, and this should hopefully ring a bell from when we've studied area, that means the exponent is 2. So if I said 3 squared, it would be 3 with an exponent of 2. If I said something was cubed, it would mean that my exponent is equal to 3. So if I said 8 cubed, it would be 8 with an exponent of 3. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say a number, and I want you to write it here in exponential form. So if I said the number 5 to the 5th power, 5 to the 5th power, write that next to number 1. Number 2, I want you to write 8 to the 6th power, 8 to the 6th power. And number 3, I want you to write 2 to the 9th power, 2 to the 9th power. So go ahead and write those down real quick. If you need to rewind so you can hear them again, go ahead and do that. Now we're going to move on to our learning goal number 2. So learning goal number 2 was to be able to simplify a number that's in exponential form. So if I'm simplifying a number, and I'm just going to draw a little line here so we can keep our space. Simplify, remember, means to reduce it into its most basic form. So an example of simplifying, if I had 6 to the 4th power, I would simplify that as 6 times itself 4 times. 6 times 6 times 6 times 6, and I've simplified it. Okay? It's as easy as that. So if my number was 100 to the 3rd power, you would multiply 100 times itself 3 times. So if I look at these, I have 1, 2, 3. The number of times I wrote the base should equal my exponent. Alright, so again, I'm going to write out 3 problems real quick, and then I want you to try to simplify them. So number 1, I want you to do 8 to the 4th power. I want you to simplify it. Number 2 is going to be 12 to the 5th power. And number 3 is going to be 6 squared. So go ahead and pause this and work on those ones. Remember, you're expanding it. You're just simplifying it. You're not solving them yet. All right. Now if we look back up at our learning goal, can you now write a number in exponential form? Hopefully yes. Can you now simplify a number that's in exponential form? Hopefully yes. So we're moving on to number 3. How do you solve a number that is in exponential form? We're going to start with something that's a little bit simpler. Again, I'm going to draw a line here. If you need to use the back of your paper, go for it. That's totally fine. If I had the number 2 to the 4th power, and I was asked to solve it, well, the first thing you have to do is simplify it. So remembering what we did over here, to solve this, I multiply 2 by itself 4 times. Now it's a matter of just working these out. So 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 4 is 16. So I've just solved 2 to the 4th is equal to 16. So I've just answered one of my questions. I've just solved a number or a problem that is in exponential form. Now, if we're going to do a little bit of a trickier one, let's look up. I'll grab a new piece of paper so it's not so messy looking. Your back probably is just fine. Alright, let's say I had the number 4 cubed plus 2 cubed. Now that's a little trickier. So again, step number 1 is the same. You expand it out. So 4 times 4 times 4. And you do that first. So we're going to put that in parentheses because that means we do it first. Plus, now what do I do here? 2 times 2 times 2. Now I'm just going to work it out like any other problem. So 4 times 4 is 16 times 4 plus 2 times 2 is 4 times 2. Now I'm going to break it down even more. So 16 times 4, well, I don't know my 16s family, so I'm going to quickly off to the side solve that problem. 64 plus 4 times 2 I know is 8. Now I can add that one more time. Now I've got my number 72. Okay? Alright, so I'm going to write 3 problems. 3 is our lucky number today, I guess. 3 problems that I want you to simplify and then solve. So our first one, 3 to the 4th power plus 9 squared. Our second one will be 2 squared plus 4 to the 3rd power, or 4 cubed, if you remember. And the next one, 10 squared minus 3 cubed. So I'd like you to go ahead and try and solve those before you come back in, and we will do a quick check in the morning, so if you have any questions, please let me know. Good luck!